I'm pleased to say I'm joined by two of the qualifiers for this year's UK Open, James and Josh Richardson. Gents, thanks for the time. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you very much. It's good to be on your show tonight.
Well, James, let's start with you. Back in the UK Open for the first time in 3 years, you were at Minehead last year watching as a fan. You spoke to my colleague Matthew in the multi-board room. You said you wanted to be back there playing. So how excited are you to be going back 12 months on, this time as a player again?
Yeah, very excited. It was painful last year. We actually had tickets from the year before, for the caravan for accommodation, and so we obviously went. Very painful watching it, and it just gives you that urge. You want to get back. Obviously, you wanted to get back as a player on the tour, but wasn't to be, so we had to go down the Royalers, where I got through.
Yeah, we'll come on to talk about those qualifiers a bit later on. This is going to be your 8th UK Open, but your son Josh, it's a debut in the tournament. So Josh, how are you feeling ahead of this weekend, getting to play in the tournament people call the FA Cup of Darts for the first time?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, this is going to be my first TV tournament. So just to get there I'm just happy, really. But to get through from the development tour, I won the last tournament, and I think that's what put me into the UK Open. I'm looking forward to it.
Good to hear. Well, the draw was released about half an hour ago before we called you guys up, and there was the possibility of seeing you two drawn against each other. You've avoided each other. James, was Josh the name you most wanted to avoid in that draw?
We didn't really want each other really till the money, because obviously the prelim rounds and you don't get nothing. It'd be nice to get a bit of money in the bank and then draw each other, but no, everybody kept on saying, it's going to be you two in the prelims. The problem is, when we go to these tournaments, we've in the past ended up playing each other first rounds, or every other round we meet each other. So it wouldn't have surprised me one little bit.
And Josh, you're both going to be on stage too. Your dad plays Thibaut Tricol in the first round, while you're up against Sebastian Białecki a few games later on the same stage. So what was your reaction to the draw?
Well, I'll take on anyone, really. I mean, I played Sebastian a few times, so I think we both beat each other. So yeah, we'll have to see how it goes, and I'm looking forward to it now.
Well, let's look back, and for you, James, 2022 was a busy year. In April, we saw you make your debut in the WDF World Championship at Lakeside. So what was it like playing there and on that iconic venue?
Yeah, completely different to the Ali Pali, put it that way. I'd say the crowd's more respectful down there. Josh played on there before, but no, when you enter the doors in that place, people say it gives you a shiver down the bone, and it does. And it was just nice to grace that stage where all the greats have graced before. You had Bristows and Peyton Reese, Lazarenko, and all them were all playing on there. Yeah, absolutely great. And we're back there in December. I'm back there, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we win it this year. Wasn't a very good show last year.
We shall see. Well, I was there for the first weekend, saw you win your first game, and back at the Lakeside Hotel bar afterwards, you got everyone going with a rendition of Vindaloo. So Sunday nights, they don't get much better than that, do they?
They don't, no. No, and hopefully this Sunday we'll have a bit more of that down Minehead.
Fingers crossed. Well, while you were at Lakeside, we saw you post on Twitter you were cooking in the hotel room, stewing dumplings, I think, on one of the days. Is that a regular thing for you when you're away for darts, or is that just a one-off?
No, we start taking the old utensils with us, because it's it's cheaper way and it's healthier way to eat, because when you're away you only eat fast foods all the while. And so we take slow cooker, you can put some in, and then it's there for you when you come back. And just the way we do it now.
Sticking with the food, I mentioned the Vindaloo song. I'm a fan of a curry myself, although I'm not as brave as you to opt for a Vindaloo. But where would you say is the place you've had the best Vindaloo so far?
It's got to be my local curry house where I live, Home Tandoori. Absolutely. And they do a curry actually after my nickname. It's called a Ruthless Bullseye. And that is absolutely brilliant. Very nice.
And Josh, we have to ask you as well, are you a fan of the Vindaloo as well, or do you go for something else when you go for a curry?
No, you tell it.
I do like a curry. I don't like it as hot as my dad's, but I do tend to go for McDonald's every time I go darts. It has to be 20 nuggets and chips. That's my go-to food for the moment.
Fair enough. Well, we mentioned Lakeside, Josh, and your dad mentioned it as well. It's a place which holds some very special memories for you, winning the BDO World Youth Championship back in 2016. What are your memories of that day?
Fair, it's a long time ago now. It's how long? I think it's about 7 years ago now. I won that. But like my dad said, every time you walk into that venue, there's something that just feels different about the place.
And your youth career, if you like, that culminated last year with your last year on the development tour, and you mentioned it. What a way to sign off, winning the final event of the season. What did that win mean to you?
I mean, I've been playing on that development tour since I was 16, and to win it on the very last attempt before I was too old meant everything to me. And like I said, it put me straight into the Europe Open. If I didn't win the final, I don't think I would have been there. So I'm really happy with that.
Well, looking at the run to the title, I had a little look earlier. You survived match starts, I think your second game against Dylan Slev, and then you had that 101 average in the next round. When did you start to feel like you were on for something special in that last event?
I can't remember who I beat, but I think it was going into the quarterfinals. I just felt something, and that's yeah. I don't know. I don't know, but it did feel good. It felt really good when I won that. And
in the final, a very close game with Jurien van der Velde. It goes all the way to a decider. You had the darts kick off with a 91, a pair of 140s to take control. So what were those moments like as you were finishing off the leg to win the title?
I was trying to hold the tears back. I think when the winning double did go in, I just started crying.
And we saw the pictures on Twitter as well. James, you were there as well to see Josh win the title. How proud were you to see him win that title and close out his time on the development tour with a victory like that?
Very proud father. He's a very talented player, Josh is. He's got to start believing in his ability, and because he can produce world-class darts. But I say it's the believing, and once he starts believing, which I'm sure he does, people keep telling me I've got to start believing in myself, but I believe 100% in my son, and he's got a very, very good talent there. Yeah.
Well, back to you, James. Last year we saw you regain your ADC European belt, beating Kevin Painter 11-9. You've been involved in the belt side of MAD as it started out to now the ADC right from the early days. So what is it about these challenge matches that you enjoy playing in?
Oh, they're brilliant. They're grub matches, really. You turn up these venues and it's long legs and money on the line and the belts on the line. They're great matches. The same when I went up to Scotland to play Robert Thornton in his backyard. Jesus Christ, it was lovely that were. But there was only a few of us. There was a load of them. But they're brilliant to get involved in. And once you get your teeth into them and you're winning, it's a good feeling, a really good feeling. So we're still waiting for another challenger at the minute.
Yeah, I was going to come on to that. You won the title back in, I think, November last year. Is there any news yet on when you'll be defending that title? Has anyone come forward with a bid yet?
Nobody's come forward, no. I've been told that now the belts will be held down Portsmouth on the Motor Super Series on the Saturday night, but I say we haven't heard nothing, not a thing. It's been a long while since I played Kevin. What are we now? Is it back in November? I think I played him. Might be before that. So there's been a long break between the belt contenders as well, yeah. Long while.
Well, before you get to play your next match in that, we've got a return to Minehead for you this weekend, which we mentioned you secured via the Riley's qualifiers, winning the qualifier in Chester. We saw from your Twitter you weren't a fan of the smell from the toilet, so apart from that, what was the setup like? There weren't any pool cues frockies, was there?
No, nothing like the Norwich Riley's last year, which was an absolute shambles. No. Chester Riley's, we won't say anything on the toilets, but the throws were good. One of the better throws in the Riley's I've been to. And it was a long day. I was set up with my dad. We got the train at 7:30 in the morning. 2.5 hours to get there. And then obviously got through the day, won it. Didn't get home until about 11:30 at night.
Yeah, a long day, and you beat some top players during that qualifier as well. So talk us through your run that day. Obviously it was a long day with the travelling, but what was the day like itself there?
Yeah, I had to plan my day out because they're very long. You got to start resting in between and judging what you got to do in between the games. so everything's right. I played some very good players I didn't even know, and they're coming up against me, banging these 140s and 180s and tons against me, and I'm doing it back to them and just holding my nerve and nicking the legs and winning games. And there was one game, I think it was a semi-final, I forget his name, but we both left 170 on the last leg. It was my throw, and I twanged the 25, and then he threw. He had done the same at the 25, and then I went out in 2 darts. So I might have been out, not going to Minehead. That's how time. Then I played Warby in the final and produced some really world-class darts.
Well, looking ahead, you two are going to make more history in April, the first father and son to play for England together in the British Internationals. Josh, you made your debut last year in the Tri-Nations. What was that experience like?
Yeah, I mean, with going back a few years, like, we had Martin Adams and players like that in the England squad. So to be playing in it now is I think it's a good achievement for myself, and I'm looking forward to it again this year, especially playing with Dad in the team as well.
And James, you won a qualifier to book your spot in the team. Of all the things you've achieved in darts, do you think that weekend for the British Internationals lining up with Josh to play for England is going to be the most special moment yet?
Without a doubt. I mean, that weekend we become the British Open Pairs champions, which I think the first father and son ever to do that. And to now represent England with my son, which is absolute privilege, and to play under our skipper James Earl as well, which was Josh's skipper last year. Got a great men's side. I can't wait for it. It's going to be great.
We look forward to that. And Josh, how did you find out you'd got in the team as well? I think I saw you say it was a phone call to say you're in. So what was that moment like, getting the call and finding out you were going to be in as well?
Yeah, it was. I think it was like a director's pick or something like that. I had the phone call on the way back from County on the Sunday from Peter Melton, and I kind of knew something in the back of my head. I kind of knew I was going to be in it again this year, but I wasn't going to, to get that phone call, I was over the moon to be playing again this year, because we won it last year and we're going to win it again this year without a doubt.
I'll say before as well with this one, it would be nice if also we can get picked for the World Cup, because there's only limited players who do get picked, like the Euro Cup Josh did last year. We can get in the World Cup, me and Josh. It'd be great to represent England in the pairs.
Yeah, no, I'd definitely like to see that. Well, the British Internationals, that's not until April, and around that time it's going to be the business end of the football season as well. You two both big Ipswich Town fans, so James, do you think Ipswich can make the top two, or are they going to have to settle for the playoffs now?
No, I think we could do it. Plymouth on the slide, and we've got a good side, we've got good management, and got good everything behind us at the minute. Sheffield Wednesday are playing really well, but they can slip up. I think we'll finish in the top two. I really do. And
Josh, you're a tractor boy as well, like your dad. How do you think the rest of the season's going to play out?
Yeah, I think we'll make the playoffs, but I don't think we'll finish in the top two. Like I say, Plymouth and Sheffield Wednesday playing well at the moment, but quite a few points behind second spot, so I'll go for playoffs.
We shall see. Well, before then, it's all eyes on Minehead this weekend. James, Josh, we appreciate you guys taking out the time, and we wish you both all the best for the UK Open this weekend.
Yeah, cheers.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to it.